Turn down the lights, lock the door. It's time for DJs After Dark.
Old men smell like medicine and ointment. Hey, everybody, welcome to DJs After Dark. My name is Danny J. We got a great show for you today. Remember, hit that subscribe button down below, hit the notification bell, and as always, share the channel. We always want you to do that. Before we get into the topics today, let's see who we got on the show today. We have DJ Matt Sunner.
Morning.
We got Matt Sunner there. We got bringing us 4 cc's of soul, Dr. Rock Ray Thomas.
And good morning, Danny. That was actually a wood lube that we were talking about earlier. But go ahead.
Wood
Good morning,
lube.
everybody.
Wood lube. And then we got from 2.9 MGK, Chris Gordon.
Oh, thank you for remembering my last name because I forgot
did.
it myself.
Dude, so there you go. That Jameson's a hell of a drug. I'll tell you.
It sure is.
No, his wife was holding up a cue card that had your last name. I'm telling you.
Guys, it's DJs After Dark. We're back again. Like I said, it's the DJB Productions Network. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. And as always, tell a friend. We want them to jump on here. Today, we got a great show for you. We're going to be talking about the greatest makeout songs of all time. Now, of course, this is not by any kind of poll or anything like that. This is all of our own opinions as DJs and guys who have lived through our own experiences. Yes, exactly, stuff like that. It was one of those things where I was listening to some music on Spotify and stuff like that, and a song came on, and I said, "Wow, I remember this song from back in the day when I used to go to dances and stuff like that." And we went through the whole thing, and I was like, and it gave me this idea for this show because we're not just talking about your first kiss. We're also talking about the first kiss with that new girl. And when I used to go to like these dances back in the day, I had a new girl every 2 weeks. So like I did a lot of this first kissing.
Dan was a man whore. Dan was a straight up man whore, and he doesn't deny it either. That's the wonderful thing about it.
Fraternity suit, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, back then.
A fraternity suit, yeah. Little piece of paper they always had for you every 2 weeks.
Yeah, snuffed right into the TV guide. But there's so many different songs, and here's the cool thing about this is that in the case of this show, we have gentlemen who have gone through different genres of life. So, for example, Ray, you're a little older than Matt and I, so and actually Chris for that matter. So what's happening is you're going to have a different song experience or something like that than Chris did. Chris being a rock and roll guy, he probably doesn't remember half of this stuff. So then you got,
because the making out always led to something else.
Yeah, exactly. And like when you're on stage and you're like trying to sing, you're like, bitch, please come on, stop. And then Matt and I, who were like doing our thing, it's going to be a different spec. We're probably going to hear some different songs that are great songs, by the way.
Yeah.
But when you think about it,
I was old, so I probably got horny and hot to the Flintstones theme song back in
you probably did,
Ray was like, Wilma is so smoking.
Oh my God,
dude, it was Betty.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah,
Betty.
it was Betty.
She was a closet.
Oh, yeah, 7 minutes, 7 or something. Taking something all kinds of crap.
Barney was laughing all the time for a reason. He was like,
No, there was this whole thing. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was this whole thing, this subversive idea that actually Fred and Betty were having an affair, and they played into this whole thing, and it made some sense because
it does make some sense.
And if you listen behind the door, you probably heard behind the door, and you don't know what the fuck that was going on. And
when Fred used to hang out at the Yabba Dabba Bada Bada Bing, and that's where he met Betty.
It is a dirty show, honey. That's life. Sorry,
it's a dirty show. It is a dirty show. It is. So
oh God.
back, like some people are like, oh, when I was talking to people about the show, they said, man, what kind of show, like what kind of songs are you talking about? I want what's going on? And I said, well, for me, and I'll give up my first one, which is probably one of my favorite ones. This is probably my best entry into this. Would be the Jets. You've Got It All Over Him. If you think back now, my experience being that when I was younger, we would go to Circus Town, which was a one-off place like a Chuck E. Cheese, but they used to have teen dances on the weekends. So we would go there on Friday nights and go to these dances, and you'd meet a girl and stuff like that. And then there'd be music, and then all of a sudden slow songs. Now I know kids today don't know what slow songs are because they don't really play them anymore. But we used to have slow songs, which allowed us to actually get in with the girl and see if it worked out or not. So we would get these songs, and when they used to play songs like that, it was so romantic. And you know, you're talking about kids, like you're talking about hormones and
yes,
puberty
grabbing each other like there's no tomorrow.
And like right before the show started, you were talking about the show Big Mouth on Netflix, where it's about kids and puberty and stuff like that, and how outrageous. Now, granted, that's over exaggerated,
Over the top, but it's funny.
But that's what it's like as a kid, you know, when you're discovering, you know, I didn't think you were nice looking before, but now I can't stop looking at you. And it's like, you know, and it's not love. I mean, it's infatuation. It's like whatever. And then when you finally get in to do this stuff, it's like, wow, dude. And think about how the innocence of it too. The first kiss or something like that at that age was you getting laid. At that aspect, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was like, you know, fast forward, you're like, damn, if I can just go back and reclaim some of my innocence, I'd be okay, you know. but
God, damn, back in the 6th grade, how many girls did you have pissing on a stick? Oh yeah.
Let's face it, man. We had to have algebra to discover the pluses and the minuses and all that.
Yeah, we never could figure out what the X really meant. But
you know, but that was one of those things where, like I said, it was a scenario where it was so romantic and stuff like that, and you want, even if you didn't like the girl, you ended up kissing her anyway because you're like, I got to do this, you know.
I think the music was the soundtrack.
Yes.
Like in a lot of ways, you know, when you like speaking on what you were just saying, was, you know, it's like you're entering this whole other world where you're leaving that, like, I'm a kid, you know, girls are gross. Let's just go play baseball or whatever. You're entering that new idea of where you are as an adolescent. That song, as the first time you're making out, kissing a girl, which is, like you said, that's interesting because that's true. It's equivalent to getting laid at that point, right?
At that age,
that age. That song is the soundtrack to the movie that you're in.
Yes.
Which is your life. Because it is. Our life is a movie in some sort of way. But that moment when you're on the dance floor, you know, that's cool when you have that. Because I remember that in high school. We're not high school, middle school.
Middle school,
dances, you know, and you're hanging out and you're like, you know. And is you know, is it a girl that you'd be like, oh my God, she's everything? No, it's just a moment, you know. And then that soundtrack comes on and you're experiencing that
moment all over again.
But that's what that is. Did
you guys ever DJ like a middle school dance? I did back in my career.
Thankfully, no.
Those guys and girls couldn't keep their hands off each other, and I'm talking about seriously. Like the priest and the nuns had to break them up. It was like a wrestling match for the WWF.
Well, you know, it's funny when you say that because when we used to DJ, and we used to DJ at this one bowling alley, which had a dance floor. It was a huge, you know, the one I'm talking about. And it has like a bar and it has a dance floor and an arcade and it's a big like entertainment center. And we used to DJ these teen dances. They used to have teen nights there. And now you're talking this was roughly 15 years ago or so, but as an adult, I'm DJing this dance for these like 13, 14-year-olds. And the whole time consisted of girls twerking for the boys.
Yes.
That's all it was. And like that wasn't like that when we were kids. Now, granted, we weren't wallflowers and stuff like that either, but we all interact and stuff like that, but we physically danced, you know, and then there were slow songs for us to get intimate, you know, with each other, you know.
It's almost like this new generation now. It's like you put a slow song on, they have no idea what to do.
No, and
the dance floor clears out. It's like the dance floor clears out.
Yeah. And they don't know how to take advantage of it, and they don't know because and here's the deal, because they're spent already from everything they're doing with all the fast music.
Right.
Because you're playing and we had a show where we're talking about slow songs versus hip hop in the last episode. And this correlates directly with that because it's a completely different feel. There's no intimacy interaction. It's more of a mindset. And therefore it's like, I'm not falling for this chick or that chick or whatever the case is. It's like, who's getting over here while I'm looking over there? You know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing.
Danny, didn't you used to have Post-its on it that said, show me your tits or something? I remember, you know, and it was like crazy stuff. But
the only time that worked was with Joanne. And thank God, because you know what? No, but right, coming from your era, give me a song. Give me a song that brings you back like that. Like
you guys are we're going back to the days of the Bonner mixer, and the thing is, you knew you were going to make out if you ever heard Mel Carter sing "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me." And, and you knew it, like it was like on, like you were dancing with her on that song, and she was expecting it, you were expecting it, and you got into it. And like I said, when you were young, those kisses, man, were never ending. They were long.
And I guess the pressure was to be able to make sure you were dancing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. In other words, like, that was going to happen if I get a girl to dance with me. Otherwise, I'm standing over here with my dick in my hand.
Well, you just answered it. If you could get the girl to dance with you, and she wanted to dance with you, and you know she wanted to, you knew you had it made because.
Well, but keep in mind that there's a difference.
That's true. That's true.
But there's a difference between a girl who says, "Yeah, I'll dance with you," and a girl that wants to dance with you.
Correct.
Understand that too, because there's a scenario where you said, "Hey, you want to dance?" Yeah, because I don't want to stand against the wall. You know what I mean? So you'll do for now.
So. I guess
so.
But
if you had your groove going, you were making out.
You were making out, and it was long-lasting makeout sessions. It wasn't like a kiss.
Oh, it was guaranteed mono.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Like her tongue was like halfway into your stomach. I mean, that's what it was like.
Well,
I had
your mother a cow, dear Lord.
I don't know how
you know that now.
Exactly.
I don't know about you guys, but like the one thing that it was like would venture it off to say this was like really hot versus this was like okay, like like you say, like like nowadays if you have sex with a girl, you're like, oh, was she good? That type of thing. Was the sex good, right? But back then, because like I said, it was the equivalent. We're making out. They would be like, "Yo, were you banging teeth?"
Banging teeth.
Yeah, were you banging teeth? Yeah, I'm fucking up my dental work. Yeah, I never heard that one. You never heard that? No,
I never heard banging teeth.
That was a thing that happened.
About banging teeth. I don't know. Banging teeth.
If you're making out, and think about it as a kid, because it's not like some romance.
That's where you learn your skills, though.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not George Michael's in Careless Whisper.
This is going to go back to his.
If you're like that. So like
I saw this in a movie once.
Once. So what would happen?
That was part of it.
If you were getting too,
you learned your rhythm, you learned your groove.
But if you were getting too aggressive, you would bang teeth.
Well, no, and there were times where some of the girls were that way, where you're like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what happened. And that was the thing. We're like, yo, dude, you got to hook up with that chick. Like, we didn't care.
And she would become your girlfriend and choke, but that's for a later episode.
But going back to what I was saying off the air, like I did this like every 2 weeks or something like that. Like at that point in your life, it was such a discovery that like you didn't care if you were dating this girl or not. You're like, yeah, dude, you got to make out with that chick. Go ahead. Didn't you just make out with her? Yeah, go ahead. Just do it. You know what I mean? Like it was like a bro code from
the mono reference is coming into now.
I don't know. This way, if it doesn't work out between me and her, then I'll pass you the baton.
A buddy of mine, we hooked up with these two girls, and it lasted about 2 weeks because that was like an eternity. It was like a fucking the songbirds, you know what I mean? And then like after 2 weeks, the girls flip-flopped. Like they would break up with us, right? And then ask the opposite person out and stuff like that. And
that happened to me.
Yeah, so girls did that too. I mean, girls had their own player thing that they did, and
today.
Because you got to think about it for a second. Like at that age, right? You're really, like I said, you're not falling in love. You're infatuated with this particular person for whatever moment in time. And then, but if you're discovering making out, right? You don't want to limit yourself to this one kid, you want to go to this other kid or whatever. So the girls did it just like guys did and be like, oh, I got to make out with
you're trying at that point, you're feeling your way around in the dark. You're trying to figure out what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
It's like you can't sit there and be all like, well, I like chocolate better than I like vanilla, but you've never had vanilla.
Right.
Correct.
Right. I gotta sample all the flavors that are here at the buffet because who knows what I like and what I don't.
That damn Carol Baskin.
That was coming from both. That's coming from both sides.
And that's coming from both sides.
Right.
That's why just again, like you said, when at that age, I mean, you're just bouncing around from here to there to wherever because it's like, yeah, I like that, but what's that over there? That looks yummy too.
And I find that completely normal.
It is.
It
is totally
part of normal, selection.
I used to
because what you're doing is you're sharpening your chops,
right?
So
for finding the one, right? You got to get your chops together. Like you can't suck, right?
No.
Because if you continuously suck, then
there was a girl that I
you're
kissed.
alone.
There was a girl that I kissed, and she was like really, really hot, right? She was a friend of a girl that I dated, right, for 2 weeks, right? And she like, right? And she's like, and back then, like we're talking about, these are the girls that had the big hair and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I used to love
80s
that.
mall chicks.
Oh, I loved that so much.
Cinderella.
And this chick was really hot.
I got stories.
She was really, really hot.
Their class picture was three quarters of the frame was hair, with a small little head at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't need frames back then.
No, you knew where they were at.
Was the frame.
In fact, they could sell advertising space on the top, on their bang. They could sell advertising space. But like this girl, I'm like, oh, I got to get with this girl, right? So I dance with her, and then I go to kiss her, and we start kissing, and she was horrible. Like she was like sucking like a succubus. She was like sucking the life out of me.
Were you banging teeth?
But no. Like the mouth was barely open.
Because she probably was taking 2 teeth down your throat.
Imagine, like, when you have a Slurpee and you're at the point of the Slurpee where it's kind of all frozen, so you're sucking it right back in. You almost like,
Honey, are you horny? Because I'm getting that way.
That's what it was like. And I'm like, this is odd. And like, I don't know what to do with this.
Slurpees. Go ahead.
Slurpees.
Are you trying to figure out what I had for lunch? I mean,
it was just weird. And when it makes a sucking sound, I was just like, no, this is odd. This is really weird. This is not what I'm used to. You know what I mean?
That's not necessarily like the fault of her, because it depends on where, she might have been seeing a movie and thinking, oh, well, that's how it's done, or maybe not, again, but that's all part of the experimental thing. You're like kind of figuring out like, oh, well, how do you do this?
Well, that's like saying, Chris, that's like saying Dr. Victor Frankenstein. Well, dude, I don't want to blame you for this monster that killed like half the village, because you were just fucking around and trying to see what you could do. I'm sure you'll get it better next time.
Well, that's true. No, that's true. But the fact remains is that, again, we're talking about innocence.
I'm sure Charles Manson just said, hey, I just want to play charades. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I think that was his defense.
He would just go in the houses and go, what do you got on, what do you got by the Beatles on vinyl? But no, did you guys ever dance with a tall girl, just like the movie 16 Candles?
Dude, I'm 16.
Yes.
I don't think that's even possible.
And you would put your head on her breast, and you could swear you could hear the ocean. And it was neat because she was tall, and it was your first.
It was funny because being like 5'7", 5'8", I had that opportunity.
Oh, thank God!
And you know what I mean? Like,
what the hell you were talking about dancing?
But as a young kid, a lot of times, granted, the girls that are tall don't have a choice. So sometimes they have to make do with what they have to work with.
I got some pretty hot women growing up, and also nowadays that are tall, that are downright gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
That didn't happen for me until I was in my 20s, and the beautiful thing was because unfortunately I was always a short guy, but I was always dating these short girls. But it was a stripper. It was great.
Somehow we knew that, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, she worked at the bar that I was DJing, and she went with me to the Bella de Ball. I was looking for. At the end of the day, I was like, "You want to go?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was tall as it was anyway. I wore my cowboy boots, so I'd have at least a little bit of height, and she still showed up wearing like a 4 or 5 inch heel. I'm thinking, well, thanks God you didn't wear the big ones, because otherwise I'd be at your freaking navel. Because she was like 5'10" in flats.
Matt, give us a song. Give us a song. A favorite one. A favorite one for you.
When you brought this up, there was a song that hit me because it happened practically 2 times in my life. First time, and it was actually my first kiss. Krista Berg, "Lady in Red." And the first time it was my girlfriend, 8th grade dance. She wasn't wearing red at that, but still, it was it was
wearing something.
And it was one of those things where
she wasn't wearing red. She wasn't a lady. I don't know what was happening, but
it was
a very deep voice.
You just always turn this around.
Really?
No, seriously, but it was a great song. And then the reason it popped in my head, because then kind of second time around was my senior prom, and I danced with a girl that I was thinking about taking. Because I was going to be breaking up with my girlfriend, who was not a senior. So, but this girl, I knew she was a friend. She's kind of one of my high school crushes. I knew she didn't have a date. By the time I just said, "Screw it, I don't care. I'll ask her." She already found somebody to go with as a friend. But that song came on, and she was wearing red. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, she's here with a friend. My girlfriend was already pissed off with me at that point. I was just like, you know what? I'm like, hey, come on. Dance. I walked up to the dude. He was a friend from class. So, you mind if I steal your date for about 5 minutes? No, I don't care.
Right.
Boom.
Yeah.
So it was again, that was that first kiss, and then it was like going, hey, here's maybe I can turn, use this doorway to get in with my crush, which didn't happen. Years later, she turned out to be a lesbian, but anyway.
Well, thank you for your contribution.
Oh man,
God! Back in my day, it was called "In Her Pants." But go ahead. I like
Frankenstein the hell out of that.
Women in comfortable. What did Robin Williams say? Women in comfortable shoes.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway. Chris, let's go to you. Chris, you're going to have a different perspective on this.
With women with comfortable shoes?
Yeah, women with comfortable shoes. Let's talk about that.
I got all kinds of perspectives.
Chris, I can tell you all about flats now, but give us a song that stands out to you when it comes to making.
The song that stands out to me, there's 2. One, if we're going back to the middle school, high school era, it's going to be Journey, because that was the deal. The minute they played Open Arms, it was like, it's on. It's on.
It's on.
Speaking on the whole tall thing, being 6'2", it was like I was the only option.
Right.
For a tall girl, like it was like, it's got to be him.
Were you 6'2" in middle school?
Yeah.
Were you really?
I've been 6'2" since I was 14, 15 years old.
Fucking freak.
Like I just sprouted. It was just like a sprout. And then
he came out of the room at 6'1". All right, so I can see it.
Well, in 1986, I was average height. So there you go.
Yeah, no, it was really weird because I was always, I was.
Well, that had to be hard for you though, because honestly, if a lot of the kids, guys and girls, were smaller than you, in that sense, it makes you, in a sense, awkward, even if you're confident with yourself or whatever.
Oh no,
I'm still out of place in a sense. Yeah,
I'm still awkward. I'm awkward in my own way, But getting back to the idea of the next wave for me was Robbie Neville. Like
oh my God, yeah.
I met my wife and listening to that stuff, and then we're hanging out. Of course, the making out led to something else.
Well, sure.
But it was like that kind of thing where it was.
Now, for me, like the very first song I made out to, because I've kissed girls, whatever the case is, but it's one of those things where the first song I had was LL Cool J, "I Need Love." That was the very first song that I made out to, and it was a funny story because it just remember we're relating it to, at that age, you're relating making out to like sex, right? So it was a big step as a young kid, 12 years old, 13 years old, and or some cases 11, right in that age group. And what we used to do was at Circus Town, when you're at these dances, the thing was to get a booth. And what that meant was you would go sit in a booth and you would make out with the girl you're intended to make out with or whatever, right? And that was like big thing. That was like going to make out point and getting in the backseat of your Studebaker, you know what I mean? And like getting it on. So like I remember like it was one of those things where it's like I hadn't done it. I don't know if I'm gonna know what to do. And I'm now nervous. Now this girl that I'm with, I'm dating her for a couple weeks at this point. And we haven't made out yet or anything like that. We just slow dance or whatever and talked or whatever the case was. And her friend's like, why don't you get a booth? Why don't you get it? Because she was like, I guess like feeling like all my friends are getting booths with guys and I'm not. Like, what's wrong with me? Blah, blah, blah. And what's wrong with my boyfriend? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So her friends are pressuring me. And like, oh, I'll go find you a booth. Like it was like people would reserve booths for people, like, that's how it was, right?
It's starting to sound like Harvey Weinstein, but go ahead.
Well,
everybody was pimping each other
like a
out.
lap dance.
Yeah, I'm right. So finally,
not that I would know anything about that.
We're cutting that at all.
Pursue.
We're getting like she's getting mad with me because I'm like refusing to go get a booth. And I'm not saying no, I don't want to get a booth. I would say, oh no, not right now. I'm not ready to get one right now. But like I got something.
But you're being shy.
I'm being shy. I was, but I was like, I gotta go pee. Like I got stuff to do. You're in a dance. This is all you got to do. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like a booth review.
So this LL Cool J song, "I Need Love," was her favorite song at that time. No. So she's like, her song comes on. She goes, "Come on!" Right? She's all pissed. She grabs me by like my wrist and takes me out to the dance floor. So we're dancing, blah blah blah, and then I make a move. And I'm still thinking, like, I'm not sitting there like putting it out of my mind. I'm like thinking, like, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? So I make the move where I put my hand on her ass, right? And she whispers in my ear, "Thank you." Like, like now I feel like a dickhead. You know what I mean? Like she's like, "Thank you, finally." You're making a move on me. And then she finally just says, "Fuck it," and starts kisses me, right? And boom, it started. Now you're in there, and that's it. It's done. She's going for it. I'm going for it. We're banging teeth. Whatever.
Honey, we got to bang teeth. Go on.
Bang teeth. Hey, I think it's detrimental for you guys at your age, though.
Yeah, we might lose our first four.
You look like that guy on Tiger King. But but that was the start of it, and it was like, oh my God, like it really is though when you think about it. But it was like such
a you know what? Memory. Speak to that. That's an interesting point that you bring up because there was. And that where you're at, like what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. On the surface is being shy.
Yes.
But there's also somewhere in there chivalry.
Yes.
Yeah.
We may not recognize it as that, but even then we had that. And it worked against us from time to time because, as you said, and I've been in that situation too.
Right.
Because I am that guy where I'm very, I don't go there,
right.
Like your space,
Right.
But when you have a situation where she's like, "Thank you," like I want to be wanted. I want to feel that somebody is into me. But it's it's an interesting dynamic that you play, right? Because you want to be able to show that, but you don't want to be that douchebag.
Yeah,
exactly. Douchebag that's like, oh God, he's just gropey. He's all over the place. It's just terrible. Oh my, ew. You don't want to be that guy. So you got to find that. But then sometimes you can go too far the other way, where they're like,
he doesn't like me.
He's not even into me.
Yeah.
Maybe he's into dudes. Like it can go that far where back then, I'm talking about back then, where they'd be like, I just don't.
But you know what the funny thing is too? There's a difference between being older and taking the lessons that you learned from your parents or what have you, and being chivalrous and saying, I respect women and I respect you in this fact, and I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, right? And then there's also that aspect of you just learned that from your parents, so it's not that you I think as an adult, you understand the premise behind why you should be that way, versus as a kid, you know you're supposed to be that way. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why
it's the knowledge versus the understanding.
Yes, and I think it was one of those things where it's like, I'm not supposed to disrespect you. I don't know why. I don't know why you want me to. You're confusing me. You know what I mean?
Well,
you succubus.
Right. That's the read.
Yeah.
Right. Which is difficult. And then that's the beautiful thing about it is that you learn the terrain.
The innocence.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're learning the terrain. Like, okay, what works? You know, and also there's also that part that you start to realize who you are. And I think that's part of what's missing, you know, because when we were growing up and we were, like you said, going to these dances and having our first kiss, our first makeout, that there was a trajectory to that had an end game that, of course, contributed to the fact that, you know, we become good fathers. That we become good parents, that we become part of each other's lives. And that trajectory of like having those moments where we're like, oh man, I remember my first kiss. It was like banging teeth and it was like really embarrassing. But it was part of that trajectory of like, okay, I could be better at this. But you also learn that dynamic between you and someone else, which that person that becomes your lifelong partner, your wife. Yeah. You're in tune with them right off the bat. You know, it's like, you know, my wife will tell you that I was essentially a prude compared to her. Like, you know, she was like, when are you just going to take me? When are you just going to ravage me? And I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Chris, are you having a New Year's party this year? I was just wondering.
Hey, babe, we got guests coming over this year.
You got
I got my wife a nice set of flowers, and she gets me a leather mask with a zipper. It's like, I don't know what's going on here. You know.
Okay, well, that's it. There you go. You see? So, but that's how you learn, and that's how
it is.
And I think that's how. You know, I think that was part of our dynamic.
Well, you know what? Funny thing, like Matt says to me, and Matt knows me a long time, and they say man whore and stuff like that. And my grandmother, God rest her soul, used to call me a whore master, right?
Oh, I got a story about that. But continue.
And the thing was though, and I can honestly say this, and I could die and go to heaven knowing it is an Italian thing. Yeah.
Okay.
You whore master, you're a whore master.
You're a whore master.
Right. And the thing was, I was very respectful with every woman I ever was with, be it a young making out with them, an adult sleeping with them, whatever the case was. It wasn't ever like a dirty thing, or wasn't ever a thing where I was dating them, that type of thing. I just happened to be very, very successful. People forget that fact. People said, oh, Dan was such a whore. No. Dan was very successful. It was a difference.
I had a confidence.
It's the whole thing of, like you said, it's like Dan there's just something about Dan.
I just happened to be able to date a lot of people.
He just certain people exude a certain thing, and Dan, it's one of those things where it's like I look at Dan and go like, all right, you know, that works for him. It's not kind of my style, but it works for him. And like he said, you know, he was just, you know, successful, but and all the 20 plus years I've known Dan, you know, he's always been very respectful. It's like, you know, but it's never a thing of like he was never, you know, not like I'm gonna the old hump 'em and dump 'em mentality. It was, you know, I'm finding out what I like. Okay, I was here for a while. Nah, I'm not liking that. I'm moving on. And
they were
successful in moving on.
They didn't investigate DNA, Dan. They didn't have DNA testing and stuff.
No, thank God.
They just called you puddles, but they couldn't figure you out. All right.
Yeah, right. If you can remember back, what was the very first song you made out to?
That I made out to?
Yeah, the first song.
Hey There, Lonely Girl, by Eddie Holman. It was again at the Bonner. Grade school. No, grade school dance.
Okay.
Dennis, back in the Havertown days.
Back when everybody was still singing in falsetto.
Exactly. Hey, girl. Yeah.
And they put their mouths together just to stop the ringing in their head from.
Well, that's where we came up. As a matter of fact, next week I'm going to see if I can get a silk screener to make up shirts that say "banging teeth" because it seems to be.
Yeah. I will get that. I will get that for all of us. I swear to God.
I think we need to bring that back. I think we need to bring banging teeth back.
Banging teeth.
Get rid of twerking and
banging
bring
teeth.
back
banging teeth.
Like a big, imagine it, a big pal symbol. Like
you can't do that with COVID, though.
Banging teeth.
Yeah.
No more kissing under the mistletoe. We can go, let's get it together, girl, or under the wreath. Let's turn it around and bang.
I know people that can make that graphic. We will get that graphic and we'll make those shirts.
Dude,
we will all get those shirts.
Thank God you recorded this because that's badass right there, what he just said.
Thank you.
That's badass.
Write it down, Dan. No more under the mistletoe or under the wreath. We're going to get together and bang some teeth. All right? Let's do it. All right?
Yes.
That's the shit.
And now you bring it is a holiday season, right? It is the holiday season. There's mistletoe. A lot of people. The funny thing is, you don't see mistletoe a lot at all. I think women have tried to like destroy it so this way you don't get molested.
No, but you see a lot of.
I'm probably responsible for that. I used to show. Dan will tell you this, and tell me if I'm lying, Dan. Did I not show up at least a couple of times around Christmas to KP Corral with mistletoe hanging off my belt buckle?
And this is why, and they talk about and they talk about me.
Yeah,
I said, you know what? It can't hurt.
They're talking to me like, Dan, you filthy whore. What?
That was back in the day.
You whore master.
Yep.
You know, but I think let's go around the room real quick. I'll start with Matt. Mistletoe. No matter who it is in the room. Let's say you're having. All right. Here's the setting. You're having a party. Let's say Chris Gordon's hosting a party. Him and his wife are hosting a party, and we all know each other and all friends. Everybody.
That's a party,
right? There's mistletoe hung somewhere in the house, right? Now we're all there. You go to the girl that's underneath the mistletoe. Are you pecking her, or do you have to give her tongue? Matt. Does mistletoe secure tongue?
My wife's excluded from this, right?
I don't know. You got enough Jameson. Who knows what's going on?
I would say no. I would not say that it secures tongue.
You say no.
I would say that it does. It definitely deserves more of just like a peck.
Man, is your wife?
If that makes sense.
My wife's not even in the house.
I know what you're saying, Matt.
Yeah.
You're saying
Danny just froze up.
Engagement of the lips.
Yes.
I think on the lips.
Oh, it's Aunt Mildred. Oh, Jesus. No, it's like an engagement.
Like, I got news for you. If I'm at like Ray's house and Joanne's under the mistletoe, I'm gonna have my leg up on her hip.
No, I got news for you.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing. You know what? Kissing is different from dry humping. Dry humping is almost like, okay, I got my pants on. You can try.
Like Mr. What's that, Mr.
Mr. I've had dogs do that.
Like Mr. Peebles on Saturday Night Live. You know what I mean? He gets on.
Yeah. Like, dry humping is almost not even like thing. It's like, oh,
you know.
Are you done?
Well, the funny thing was, we're at a party.
This is over there.
This is a real thing. This is the real thing that happened.
Going to the Gordon's holiday party. Go ahead.
This happened 3 years ago. We were at our friend's house. Now, no, we're all very, very close friends. Okay.
And very, very drunk.
Not that drunk.
Oh,
not that drunk.
So how interesting is this story going to be?
It's very interesting. it's really funny actually towards the end. Now we're all there and we're all just kind of hanging out and everybody's in their individual conversation. Now you're at a party, you're talking to this person, they're talking to that person, whatever, right? So I'm sitting at I'm not sitting, I'm at the kitchen table with my beer and I'm talking to this girl here and this girl here, both married, husband's over there, my wife's over here, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's talking to somebody, right? So we're all talking. So while we're talking, right, the girl is motioning as she's talking and she knocks the beer bottle. Oh, it's an empty beer bottle. Knocks it over. We're at the table and it spins, right? And it points to like it points to her. So I lean in, I kiss her real quick, and we just keep like she doesn't even like. I don't even make notion of it. I just lean and kiss her like it's like something I had to do.
Like kind of spin the bottle thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like,
right. You're just playing off of what happened.
I just played off, boom. I'm like, well, yeah, I get that, blah, blah, blah. And so then as I'm talking, I go down and I spin the bottle and I'm talking to the two of them and it lands on the other one. I'm like, yeah, isn't that the thing? Right. So it's like this underlining thing that's happening. Before you know, we're 3-4 in, we're still conversating. We're not actually playing spin the bottle. But
it's
I'm
part of it, yeah.
No, I'm at the third time I'm kissing this one. Now she's giving me tongue as we're talking, right? And then all of a sudden, other people come. The husband comes in and goes, wait a minute, what's going on here? I'm like, well, you can get in here. Go ahead. It's your turn.
Doesn't he break the ball?
Yeah, you can get on. It's just your wife.
As I'm like humping your wife right now. Here, go ahead. You can do it. So before you know it now, all these parents are now playing spin the bottle. We're laughing. The guys are kissing guys. And not with tongue or anything. But you understand, but the kids are there, right? And the kids are coming in and they're seeing their parents kissing these other parents. They're like, oh my God, we're so scarred. This is so horrible. Blah, 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 blah. But it was the funniest thing in the world. But this all broke out just because somebody knocked a fucking bottle over while they were conversating. You know what I mean?
Well, Danny was playing a gig, weren't you? Danny was called Brokeback Mountain gig that night. And it gets a little nuts, all right?
Ray and I have been at some parties where.
Oh my God.
I remember I was at a bar in. I was on tour and we were in Caruthersville, Missouri, and I'm sharing this story online for the first time. So, we're hanging out, and we had just got done a show, and we're hanging out at a place called Woody's. You can already imagine what kind of place this is going to be.
There's a place in Philly too, yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, that's a different. Different.
That's a crazy place, though, as you know.
Yeah, it is. But this place is crazy too.
Yeah.
As well. So we're sitting around, and the bass player and I are we're throwing back some whiskeys, having a couple of beers. Just place is packed. Woman next to me nudges me. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" She's like, "Can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Sure." She lifts up her shirt, exposes her breasts, and she goes, "Do these look real?" And I said, "Yes, they do." And I go right back to my booze. And she goes, No, feel them. I need to know. So I'm like, fuck me.
It's a public service, Chris. It's okay. She's asking.
Yeah. So I do. And she's like, how do they feel? I said, they feel amazing. She's like, I wish my husband thought so. I'm like, well, let him know when you get home. She's like, oh, no, he's standing right behind you.
Jesus Christ.
Got my hands, and I turn around slowly. Giant dude, and he's packing. He's got a 38 at his waist.
Right. It's like, this is where I die. This is how I die.
It's a setup.
I turn around, and he goes, thank you, dude. I've been trying to tell her that for a week, and she ain't believing me. Thank you. And I'm like, and I'm shaking. I'm like, and I'm like slowly, so.
No, it's called keeping abreast of it. Don't worry about it, Chris.
I can unfortunately top that story. Matt and I were at a bar.
I can unfortunately top that story.
Matt and I were at a bar, and this was a New Year's Eve party, and this was the night that Matt gets engaged to his now wife.
Yes, I
oh wow, you guys did that on New Year's Eve? That's awesome.
Yeah. So like we're at a bar where the first part of the bar is a piano bar, which is really neat, really retro type of thing. And the guys are playing piano. And then in the middle section is a concert area. So, and offline, I'll tell you, Chris, you'll know the bar. You know what it is. Because it's still around. And then in the back room, they have a way back room, which is like disco and shit like that. Okay. So in the middle room is a band playing, right?
Yeah, so, band and the DJ between the sets.
Right. So
that's right. I remember those.
We go in. He gets engaged, and Matt's fiance at the time and my wife go to the bathroom, which, in a public place that's like crowded and New Year's Eve, it's going to take them an hour to get there and back, right? So me and Matt are now elbow to elbow watching this band play, whatever. And some girl who's to my right bumps into me, right? And I look over because obviously I get bumped, and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "That's cool. It's cool." And I turn back to the band, And she taps me on the shoulder. And she goes, "Hi, my name is so-and-so." And I'm like, "Hi, how you doing? I'm Dan." And, "Oh, this is my friend so-and-so." I'm like, "Hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you." Right. And I turn back to the band. 30 seconds later, she taps me on the shoulder. I turn around. She goes, "We were wondering, are you single?" And I go, like this, and I point to my ring. She goes, oh, we're really sorry. I'm like, believe me, no one is more sorry than I am at this moment right now. Right. And then
I was wondering if you're single. It's we
were wondering if you were single.
Oh, yeah.
So now Matt taps me on this shoulder, and I turn to him. He goes, "Dude, my gun's in the car. If you want to blow your head off right now." I'm just saying,
Danny, I'm shocked because normally you would have pulled that ring off and put it in your pants pocket.
I was like, you get your grease,
so,
But I was like, that will never happen ever again in my life ever. I was like, wow, and I'm a man whore. I'm a whore.
Well, yeah, you were funny. You were talking about like that. Like that's why I asked if it was an Italian thing, because I had a drummer in my band for a long time.
Yeah,
while they were from Sicily, and we would be getting ready to go do a gig, and I would always, we were young, we were still like, in our teens.
Yeah,
go to pick him up for the gig. She'd be like, "Jesse," that was his name. "You are a man whore." And then she said this phrase that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. She says, "You're going to empty your balls, aren't you? You're going to go out there and empty your balls."
It was always my goal.
I'm a 19-year-old kid hearing a woman who is well into her 60s turn to her son and go, "You're going to empty your balls, aren't you, you whore master? You're going to empty your balls." And I said to him, I said, "Dude, that is not only the funniest thing I've ever heard, that's the most fucked up thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And coming out of your mother's mouth."
I got a story for you, but it's going to happen after the show. I can't tell you on the show.
Unfortunately, that's going to go live. Like, empty your balls.
Yeah, empty your balls.
Be on an episode of
And
Cops.
that's the name of this episode, is emptying your balls.
Emptying your balls. No, but like,
empty balls for the holidays. All right.
So let's go around. So we had a couple songs that we did talk about.
Oh, we haven't even been talking about songs?
No, at all. Crazy.
That's how it always starts. It always starts with this show.
Keep us on key like we always are.
Yeah, exactly. I know. We always go, meow.
We start with a topic and it just
that's just But Matt, give us a let's go through a couple. Let's just go round robin here. Go through a couple songs. What are a good makeout song?
Oh, and it's funny because it's a song I hadn't heard in years, and it actually popped up on my iPod this morning while I was on shuffle, like by fate. But you remember the band Perfect Stranger, country band? Yeah. I'm a stranger here myself.
I know the song. Yeah. And you have to be kind of a country fan to know that, and know that because it's a side track. But yeah,
because everybody doesn't know it. It was a small minor hit for him, but it was one of those things where it's like, and the whole premise of the song is, this girl's looking for him to kind of take control, and he's still, it's like, because the line is, "I've never been in love. I'm a stranger here myself." And I mean, it's kind of great because it is like kind of like that thing where it's like when you're thinking about it, that first time you realize, wow, this is actually what love is. Not the infatuation, not the love, but this is different. And that's why I thought that was always a good one. I like that one.
Now you went the country route, and I can go a country route real quick. And this was a classic back in the day. Little Texas Is My Love.
Yes.
My Love was a great makeout song. It really, really was. And the girls were so into that like you could have floated anybody in front of them. They were just like eyes, they were fluttering like this. Yeah. And that's what it was.
Like country song for a makeout song in terms of like is "Don't Take the Girl" by Tim McGraw.
Oh yeah. Especially if you're singing out in their ear. That was the move back when we used to go to country line dance places, sing in their ear. And
I was in country bands for years, man. Yeah.
That was the thing in the 90s. Country was so big.
Huge.
It was huge. Yeah. But CMT had taken off.
Yeah.
CMT just completely exploded in the 90s, in the early 90s, as you said.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, but that song in particular, for what I witnessed being on stage performing, that and what was the name? Sign Yes or No by.
Oh, yes. Yeah, check yes or no.
Oh, check yes or no. Really? That's a catchy tune. I mean, I wouldn't.
It's a catchy tune, but I'm the artist.
There's a makeout
Matt,
song.
help me out.
George Strait.
George Strait,
yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was
Yes,
Texas Angel by Honey Brown, and it was
Yeah.
There you go.
Great.
There you go. There you go.
I
There
mean,
you go.
Let's just put it this way: 75% of country songs you can make out to.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, 80% of country songs you're going to recreate to.
I mean, well, like you can go down the list of those, like "Amazed" by
Literally.
Lone Star.
Oh my God!
"Amazed" by Lone Star
My
was
son sang
amazing.
that on a national TV show called "Get the Mic Philadelphia" back in the day, and that was what they had to sing. They had to sing "Amazed," and I remember that, and all the girls.
Yeah.
Were like, oh my God, yeah! Give me the mic, Philadelphia.
Give me the mic. Okay, there you go. Matt, give me another one.
Bryan Adams, Heaven.
Nice.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. I could
Yeah.
definitely see that. And then, "Careless Whisper" was a good one, but I think the problem with "Careless Whisper,"
It's a breakup song.
that I'm saying, but like the problem with "Careless Whisper" is you don't want to make out to that. You want to belt that song out. I don't care who you are. When he starts singing, you're like, "Honey, not yet, not yet." You just want to sing the song. You don't want to have anything to do with it.
Thank God, Danny, because I thought you were going to start singing "I Want Your Sex," and I'm not in the mood for
There
that.
you go. There you go. That's a good song for you.
Yeah.
That's not that's a makeout song that leads to something else.
Yes,
It
yeah.
does.
But it's funny though, because when you go back to these makeout songs, though, like for me, it's either country or it's going back in the 80s and having groups like the Jets, having groups like DeBarge, having groups like
Berg, as Matt said earlier.
Berg. What was that? Lisa
Journey.
Yeah.
All cried out.
All cried out. Lisa.
All cried out. That was
All cried out. Oh.
50% of the Escape album by Journey was designed
Oh yeah.
for makeout songs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you can make out to "Don't Stop Believing." You can still technically make out to that. You're like,
that's like, Chris, now you said, and you and I think a lot alike. You know how you said, like, this is the soundtrack to the movie that you're in?
Yeah.
The "Don't Stop Believing" is like at the end of the movie when you finally reconcile everything and you guys are going to be together and you run into each other's arms and you just start making out and the camera's circling you.
You know what's even more crazy and fucked up about that is that you could be at a dance and that song comes on and that girl across the room
will fly
had just like broken up with her longtime boyfriend.
Yeah.
You had just broken up with your longtime girlfriend and you guys meet in the dance floor. Don't stop. And the next thing you know, it's like it's a movie.
Yeah.
Like that hour or 2.5 hours that you're at that dance is a movie in a moment of your life.
You're banging.
And every dance that you've been to are these little epic movies.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I mean, granted,
that's the soundtrack to that.
Back in the day, I could make out to that song, like, "You're Unbelievable." You're unbelievable. But like
EMF. What was that? EMF.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
Cops were always waiting for Dan right after those dances. That side cops were there.
Baby, look at these tinted glasses. I know what I'm doing, so stop. You know what I mean? But like, but no, like back in the day when you had stuff like Lisa Colchan, you had DeBarge, like Who's Holding Donna Now? I think was DeBarge. Right?
Yeah.
Right. That was good. Oh, and then Kool and the Gang.
Cool to get. Yeah.
When you had
70. Yeah.
what was the song? Not Joanna, but the one where the video in the Cherish. Yeah. He's in the video. It's a mermaid.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cherish. That's a great song.
Do you remember Wrecking Crew and a song called "Turn Off the Lights"?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was if that was on and you were you were kissing the what do you call it? The people that were doing like the catering by that time.
And then it was let me clear my throat. No, I'm just kidding. But
But that's the point. That's what this music was.
Yeah, it really was.
And I don't doubt for a minute that there were producers in the studio going, some makeout song.
It's like one of the things I unfortunately a lot of stuff's in a box right now because I have my floors redone. But there was a tape. I mean, I remember being 18, 19 years old, having a cassette that I had in my car, and it was literally nothing but slow songs. This was a thing when you get that girl out, you're out there, it's like you, your girl, your buddy, his girl in the back seat, and you're driving around listening to that, and it's kind of a thing of like going, all right, let's see where this goes. It was the whole tape is trying to get them.
Now, if you get off of 80s pop, and you get off of 90s country, then what you go into is more of 80s hair metal in a sense. So like Warren's Heaven. Heaven, dude, Heaven.
Skid Row, I Remember You.
Extreme. What was the song by Extreme?
Oh, More Than Words.
More Than Words.
Yeah.
Just by the way,
that's where I disconnected, which is odd because that's where I was, right?
Right.
I was signed to the same labels as those guys.
Yeah.
But I couldn't so that's why I went into like the Robbie Nevilles.
Yeah.
The George Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, dude, I know it sounds weird, but father figure. What was the other one that he did that I really liked?
I like Kissing a Fool, personally.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
What was the slow song by Stevie B, too? There was a slow song by Stevie B.
I Always Love You. I hate that fucking song.
I know, but that was another.
Yeah, but you see, I got away from the hair. Like, I get the hair metal connection. Like, I get that every rose has its thorn. Yeah. All of that whole thing. I get that. But I wasn't connected to it on a romantic level.
Right, because you were working it.
Right. So my connection came from more of the dance music, all that kind of. Like, I just love the sound of it. That's why I go back to the George Michael, the Robbie Neville,
and more like the R&B,
Shaka Khan.
Or even that, really the R&B kind of feel to it.
The R&B,
Tina Turner, and
that shit turned me on, and it got me in the mood. And I was like,
there was a song by the Divinals that used to turn Danny on in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about
great song. It's such a great song.
It is a great song.
Such a great song.
Tina Turner, Private Dancer.
The whole album.
The whole album, but I mean that
There's
song
a lot
of
Stevie Winwood stuff too at that,
that
time.
Yeah,
that was really cool. Like I just love the whole sound of everything, and it was like, it just, I don't know, for lack of a better word, it was fucking lubrication, man.
It was great.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely right and stuff. And I think you like when I was hearing these songs and stuff like that, like you said, and I always did picture it like a movie, like that was, like you said, a soundtrack, and that was leading me into this scene or whatever the case would be. And granted, the other person I had to be like into. That's why a song, which could be a great makeout song, could also be something I'm like, I'm turned off by it because of this happened or that happened or whatever the case is. But like, it's one of those things where, I mean, there's a song for everybody. We were kidding around with songs like Unbelievable and stuff like that, but who the fuck knows what people listen to? I mean, you can have Pet Shop Boys be your makeouts.
You're right. It's whoever did it for you. Whatever did it for you.
Right. Because honestly, if we go back in the day and we were talking about, like you were talking about, going with like George Michael's and then Shaka Khan, stuff like that, then you have Elton John you could talk about. You have, you got guys who else was really good. There's guys that did an adult contemporary that were like rockers back, like Boz Scaggs.
Oh, Boz Scaggs.
He went into adult contemporary, like Heart of Mine was a real popular hit for him. What's his name? Who I think is an amazing singer, Michael Bolton.
Yes.
Michael Bolton He was another really, really good one that I'm like,
it's one of those ones that everybody loves to bash him, but it's like, come on, people, you were listening to him and getting laid too. It's like he's kind of like, it's almost like the Nickelback of like 80s adult contemporary. Because it's like everybody claims to hate him, but everybody was listening to him. Somebody's buying the albums.
Exactly. He was a guilty pleasure. Without a doubt. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like that once again, it's another one where getting into that, and then you start getting into Kenny G and stuff like that. And
I can't do it. Can't make out with Kenny G.
I love Kenny G. I love Kenny G because
I don't have any issue with him.
I'm not gonna break down the song because of Kenny G. He hooked me up.
That's where we start to disconnect. You know what I mean? A little bit. All right.
Like that Jerry Maguire scene where Tom Cruise and Renee are going to have sex, and they're listening to Miles Davis.
Yes,
and they're like, "What the hell is this?"
Miles Davis, man, was way ahead of his time.
It's Miles in Copenhagen. It's a completely improvisation.
Oh, there's another song.
And it's like you're going to have sex to that. It's like.
There's another great makeout song.
Not to compare Miles Davis to Kenny G. I apologize.
You are Freddie Jackson. You Are My Lady.
You Are My Lady.
Yeah, from Freddie Jackson. That was a great song.
How about Ray Goodman and Brown's special? You Must Be a Special Lady, which was a song from the '80s, which was awesome. So. Yep.
Yeah. So there's plenty out there, guys. Out there, comment down below. What was the song? What was your first song you kissed to? What was a song that brings back fond memories of making out? Because like I said, with this, it's not necessarily just like this continuous, I'm with my partner or something like that. For me, a lot of times the emotion came from not my first kiss general and period, but my first kiss with this particular person, because that's like this new opening, I'm starting this new adventure, whether it be for a day, a week, a year, or for the rest of my life. So like it was that thing where you're like, because I met a girl who was we were at the country bar, and she called me over and we talked for a couple minutes, and then we went and danced, and I honestly do forget what the song was, but we were out there and we were dancing, we had this great conversation, and then we go out to the parking lot, and it was the middle of winter, and she was a little taller than me, and then she's like, well, here's my number, right? I'm like, okay, cool. And she goes, well, it was really nice to meet you. And then she leans in and kisses me. And I swear to God, my fucking foot went up. Like when a girl, like her knee bends and the leg is up, my fucking leg is up. My friends who are with me see this fucking happen. I'm like, look at this motherfucker when he's doing right. And I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. This girl's amazing. Now it's
makes it sound like he needs Narcan. I'm sorry.
She ended up being a complete bitch, but like, but that was the case. I was like, oh my God, I'm flirting. It's so hot out.
It's kind of almost like the opening line of a book. Really, when it comes down to it, it's like you think about certain books, they all have like kind of like this great, they have like these great opening lines, that have become iconic, and that's kind of like what that is, that first kiss in that relationship. It's whether it's a great beginning or it's like, it's kind of all right. And, it just, boom, that's how that chapter or that particular moment in your book, part of your book started. And
that's how my,
and it all connects.
My life, that's how it happened, because after years and years had gone by, I had come back from Florida and I'm hanging out in Wilmington, and Mary comes up to see me, and we go over to this bar. We're hanging out. We have a few cocktails and just talking. Haven't seen her in years.
Right.
And I walk her back to her car at the end, and I took that chance. I leaned in and I kissed her.
And in the background was unbelievable. Dun, dun, dun,
no, it wasn't that song. It wasn't that one. But there was a song. But the bottom line is that here we are now, 6 years later, married and having a
now imagine that though. Imagine that for a second. The song does not match the moment, right? You can't stop the moment. Like in that case right there, you're like, I'm really getting like, I'm involved in this moment. And you were kind of swept off your feet, and hopefully the same for her. And in the sense you're like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to kiss this woman.
Yeah.
I'm really into this moment. And what if the song in the background was like that Crash Test Dummies, or or something fucking stupid like that? You're like, yeah, you're stuck in time. You're stuck in time. Like, that's our song, unfortunately.
It's kind of like it's one of the things that I know I had mentioned, as far as a possible, topic for the show, whatever, and we kind of discussed it. We kind of already did that, but I've got that moment with and I'm not going to go into depth of what it was, but there was that song by the Cardigans, Love Fool.
Yeah,
and it's like I always hated that song. Couldn't stand that song. Not that it's a bad song, but it's like it just never linked with me. But now I've got this particular memory in my life that is just so indelibly connected to that song.
Right.
Like when it comes on, I'm like kind of like grooving to it because I'm thinking of that moment in my life, and in the middle of it, I'm thinking, why am I listening to this song still?
Well, as a DJ, you're performing a very good segue, because coming up on our next episode, we're going to be talking about great hits that we fucking can't stand. So that's actually coming up on a future show here on DJs After Dark.
Why was it a hit?
Why was this a hit? God damn it. Guys, what a great show. I hope everybody I hope it brought you back in a sense. I hope these stories made you laugh, and I hope this kind of made you think a little bit, to think back. Because I think these fond memories, I think in today's life, we got pandemics and we got bills to pay and we got hardship and we got lives to live. And you forget these little things that kind of shaped you as a person, I think. And I think we all agree that these first kiss, these songs that we correlate with these first kiss and stuff like that, kind of shaped us into the human beings that we are. And I honestly, I think it's one of those things where, for me, when things get really rough, when things get really tough, and when things are like very bleak, I can think back to these things and think, wow, what a great time that was. You know what I mean? Like, and I was fortunate enough to live through that. You know what I mean?
It's part of our humanity.
I do say one thing, and it's this. She was then my girlfriend at the time, and you make jokes about Joanne all the time, but I remember a place called the Fireside.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know.
And I kissed her then. She was my girlfriend. She's my wife now after 42 years. And it was Beginnings by Chicago.
Beginning. That's right. Yeah.
Chicago. And every time I still hear that song, it still makes the hair on my arm stand up. So I got to say, you guys, this topic,
and now that's psoriasis, though. That's not.
It is. Look, 4 years and still clear.
You don't need to
but that's seriously great, though.
It really is.
You can, and I think that's important.
Dr. Rock, she's the reason I am Dr. Rock, and she is my world, man. And this whole thing, this slow song thing, was a lot of fun today. We have a lot of fun, guys, when we do this thing. And
honestly, and I hope everybody who maybe unfortunately doesn't get a chance to listen to slow songs, give it a chance. Listen to
give it a spin.
Give it a spin.
That shit, motherfucker.
I know it's not popular now. I really do know it's not popular now.
No, it is.
Unfortunately, slow songs went away.
I think that's what's wrong with music today. I think we lost that what's that? The ability to feel something together with somebody. The intimacy is gone.
If you think about it, and this is, once again, I'm going off on a small tangent, but I do want to end the show. But like, for example, in our area, we have 98.1, which is OGL. Okay. Now, OGL used to be Oldies 98. Now,
Oldies 98.
Now, it's still technically oldies, but now it's all 80s, which is oldies at this point. As a DJ, you got to understand the years.
Right.
Yeah. 40 years.
It's 40 years old. It's oldies.
But now that means, though, that I'm no longer getting my golden oldies. I'm no longer hearing the platters on a station. I'm no longer hearing, the Four Tops and all that great music from the 50s and 60s and on a radio station on a regular basis. And that's because of the generations moving forward. Okay. Our generation is looking at these 80s songs as oldies. And, the people that listen to the golden oldies are dead. So what's
but you know what? That's not uncommon.
No, I know that.
As a former director of the Grand Opera House,
can you make an appearance and say hi?
I remember that the symphony was in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
their audience had literally died.
Come here.
He had died out.
Guys, I want you to meet somebody, as I was telling you.
Yeah, let me bring Joanne. I'm gonna make Joanne big.
Oh,
Joanne,
hey.
I'll move, Joanne.
Hey, how you
Now,
doing?
Joanne, let me ask you a question. How
How
question.
you doing?
As an incredibly sexy woman that you are, okay. Let me point a few more.
Yeah.
Unbelievably sexy, and I love your hair today. No, but as a woman, what today we were talking about is not only the first kiss, but we were talking about the songs that played when you say first kissed somebody. Is there a song that goes back in your mind to say it could be with Ray, it could not be with Ray, but like a kiss that where a song was playing, you're like, wow, like what a moment that was.
No.
Holy shit.
Boy, that wasn't great music.
That's just
All over women.
Any of my first kisses, there was no music. We were not like at a place where there was music playing.
You weren't at a dance or anything like
in a car.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Wait a minute. You were in a car?
Yeah.
Radio was off.
The radio was off.
You're at makeout point.
I
mean, don't come up with one just because there's a sake of coming up with one.
I don't remember because first kisses with any of the guys I went out with, we were either in front of my house or.
Well, yeah, I got you.
I don't recall music playing in the background. So
right, because you're at the end of the night or something like that. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, and it's a beautiful thing. What you're saying.
What you're saying is that the kiss was amazing. That nothing else was. They were unmemorable until you got to Ray.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know Ray was yelling
with that.
I know Ray was yelling a lot. What was the song that you kissed Ray with, and they were like, "Oh wow, what a song that was."
It's the weirdest song, and you wouldn't think, not romantic at all. It was Benny and the Jets.
Oh, okay.
And we were in
Benny and the Jets.
Okay, no, I can agree with that. I think that's awesome. I think, and that holds something a little special to you because it brings you back, or what?
When I hear it, it brings me back.
You know what? I'm going to be on Christmas night on MGK, and I know that song is going to be on my playlist. I'm going to send it out to both of you.
There you go.
You guys better start making out to it.
We will.
Because if you
send that video to MGK.
Call you out on it on the air.
There you go. See?
No problem, Chris. We're going to do it. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
No, I'm going to say.
Go to mgk.com and send your video in.
Oh, how awesome would that be?
Right? I think that would be great.
Oh, you guys should do that.
What?
Make a video.
Send a video of you two making out to Benny and the Jets. I'll post it.
Right on mgk.com.
Danny promises to
That's
keep
so awesome.
And not become like a personal gratification for something that Danny needs to do.
Well, what I'll do is I'll be in the video in the background, just kind of circling you a little bit.
Right.
Like there's like weird paranormal videos where like, was that somebody in the background?
Exactly.
Standing very dimly lit in the dark corner. But you just kind of see the corner of his face, the edge of his nose, and an eye.
You're like, duck back out.
I'm leaving. Nice seeing you guys.
Nice meeting you.
Very nice.
Always nice to see you, Mrs. Rock.
Everybody.
You as well. Thank you.
That is the reason Dr. Rock is Dr. Rock.
That
I can see that. I can see why you have a rock.
No, and let me tell you something. She looks great in a nurse's outfit. I ain't gonna lie.
She does, doesn't she?
She looks great in a nurse's outfit. Yeah.
Awesome.
We were at a party where there was like 16 nurses. I actually thought I was at a hospital.
Hey, babe, come on in here.
Remember that? Remember that? Like every the doctor and the nurse at that party we did.
Only you, Dan.
Yeah, right.
Hey, babe, come on. Yes, we're sharing wives.
What?
They're sharing wives. Come on in.
That sounded so wrong.
She's
Lisa Brown. Lisa Brown. No.
That's pretty as you.
She won't do it. She won't do it.
I
My
saw
wife
her
wouldn't
hand.
either.
Right.
Don't worry about it. My wife wouldn't either.
This was wife sharing day. I didn't know.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't even watch these shows. That's how much support I get.
Makeup boy.
Oh, sounds like me yesterday when she.
Yeah.
Nice.
And all of a sudden they're having a Christmas party. And she's like, "Oh, Yeah, they want you to play. I'm like, all of a sudden, I have to pick up the guitar and be a monkey and sit there and play like. I don't do requests.
That's not what I do. I need to be romanced.
Or in the fun department because it's kind of like top secret.
Anyway, sorry.
Chris, one thing
Anyway,
2021, we got to go. We'll all go. We all got to go to a split decision show with my son where he's.
Oh, here we go. Shameless self-promotion.
Out one night. It'll be a lot of fun.
No, it will be a lot of fun, actually. And actually, I was thinking to myself that I got to get Joanne and Rock out, and we'll get everybody together, and and then we'll FaceTime Matt because Matt's too far away. And
right. And
Yeah, that's a little far.
Matt, fill up your gas tank. You got to come up here.
Yeah, man. We have a good time.
As long as I have about 14 hours notice and I don't have to work the next day.
You're fine. Right. Yeah, I know, right? But guys, now what a great show today. We had such a great time.
Good times.
Hit the notification bell. Hit the subscription bar down there. Leave us a comment. I want to hear what songs did you make out to? What songs were great makeout songs in your opinion? That's the thing. Even if you want to tell a short story in the comments, go ahead. We want to hear. We always love to hear from the fans and everything like that. And then obviously on Facebook, you can go to DJs After Dark and like us on there and stuff like that. For Matt Sunner, for Chris Gordon, for Dr. Rock Ray Thomas, my name is.
I got to say one thing, and I want you to say, I want everybody to have a happy holiday and everything. And I'm going to go.
Yes.
Remember your honey. We're not going under the wreath. We're going to get it together, and we're going to bang some teeth. Guys, thank you so much for an awesome show. And
shirts are coming. Shirts are coming.
I can't get.
We'll tune in on Christmas night.
All right, guys, have a great one.
I can't do that either. There you go.
I know. I'm screwing it up completely.
I'm messing up completely.
It's,
Guys.
it's like the Brady Bunch thing. I can't figure it out.
Guys, until next time, we'll see you after dark.
Thanks, guys.
Looks like the sun's coming up. Was that as good for you as it was for me? Join us next time for DJs After Dark.